Speaker, it's a pleasure for me to address the House this evening on my private member's bill, Bill C-350. This is the Combating Torture and Terrorism Act, which is part of a now 5-year journey that I've been on working with Canada's brave, heroic, patriotic Iranian community as they struggle for freedom for the people of Iran and call on this government to do more to support that struggle. 5 years ago, we had a Conservative opposition motion that called on this government to recognize that the IRGC, Iran's IRGC, is a terrorist organization in Canada and to completely shut down their operations in Canada. That was a motion we put forward 5 years ago, and incredibly it passed. It passed because at the time it was a Liberal majority government, voted with us in the opposition for that motion for the listing of the IRGC as a terrorist organization. Now you would think after they voted to recognize that the IRGC is a terrorist organization, after they voted to shut down their operations in Canada, that they would follow through on that motion. They did not, and over the last 5 years, we've seen all kinds of horrific acts by the Iranian regime. The shooting down of Flight PS-752, the murder of Mahsa Amini, support for Hamas and Hezbollah, support for Hamas through this horrific attack, the terrorist attack that we've seen against Israel. And there are so many more crimes targeting people throughout the Middle East, targeting Canadians, people around the world, that the IRGC, the Iranian regime's primary victim of terror, primary perpetrator of terror, is responsible for. So the Iranian community has been calling on the government to take action and to recognize that the IRGC is a terrorist organization and to shut down their operations in Canada. And 5 years after that motion passed this House, and 5 years after this Liberal government did nothing, I put forward Bill C-350 in this House, the Combating Torture and Terrorism Act. This is a bill that would list the IRGC as a terrorist organization. The bill was seconded by our leader, the member for Carleton. This bill would recognize IRGC as a terrorist organization and shut down their operations in Canada, but it would do more to combat torture and terrorism. It would, for instance, allow victims of torture and extrajudicial killing to sue state sponsors of terror in Canadian courts. It would allow a parliamentary committee to nominate that a state be added to the list of state sponsors of terror, or that an organization be added to the terrorist list, and it would require governments to respond to that recommendation. Finally, it would provide protection for individuals who were involuntarily conscripted into the IRGC. And many of the people who want the IRGC to be listed as a terrorist organization are also calling for some mechanism of protection for those who were conscripted against their will, provided that they weren't involved in any atrocities. And so my bill also contains that mechanism. It solves that problem for those who were conscripted. So we've put this bill forward with the support of the community and the result of the advocacy done by so many people. Bill C-350, the Combating Torture and Terrorism Act. And in recent days, we tried to expedite this bill. Our Conservative staff sent a note to all parties asking for support to expedite Bill C-350, recognizing the urgency of the situation, recognizing the lack of action over the last 5 years, and all the advocacy that has been done. And yet, when I put forward this request to expedite Bill C-350, it was blocked, it was shut down by Liberal members. They were not willing to allow Bill C-350 to go forward. So we will continue this work. We will continue fighting and advocating for Bill C-350, for the Combating Torture and Terrorism Act, and calling on this government to shut down IRGC operations in Canada. But if Liberals persist in blocking these efforts, then it will take a new Parliament, a new government, to ensure that this vital work finally gets done, that we protect Canada, Canadians, and the world from the terror of the IRGC.